From Citizen TV, this is the Monday Report with Trevor Ombija.
Much for staying with Citizen TV. Listen, the National Dialogue Committee report is out, but there's a lot of varied reaction towards it. The question we're asking you tonight is, are you satisfied with the National Dialogue Committee report this far? That is the conversation we'll also be having with Eric Deuri, LSK President. Nerima Wako will be here, Executive Director, Siasa Place, and Dr. Duncan Ojuang is a law lecturer. They'll be speaking to us in terms of the dialogue at Crossroads. We've seen a lot of disagreement around it. The creation of the Leader of Opposition office is now there. The entrenchment of the Prime Cabinet Secretary is also there. There's also the entrenchment and legalization of NGCDF, Senate Oversight Fund. But the word is agreement when it comes to the housing levy. Scrapping it off, that didn't work. Reducing VAT on fuel from 16% to 8%, that did not work. So the question is, are you satisfied with the National Dialogue Committee report? At Trevor Ombija at Citizen TV Kenya, use the hashtag Monday Report or text us on 22422. Tell us where you're watching and what your views are. But first, before we get into all that, here are our top stories tonight.
As much as it's part of the shareable revenue, government is encouraging counties to try and reallocate some of these funds to the dire situation now.
7 billion shillings response. Cabinet swings into action as floods trigger crisis in 38 counties.
Sasa tuna chochote, net, kila kitu, hatuonekani kama watu kweli.
Sukari ilikuwa 50, sasa unauziwa 150. Ugali ilikuwa 90, sasa unauziwa 200.
Food and fuel crunch amidst floods in Tana River and Garissa counties as 350 families are displaced in Homa Bay and Kisumu. Setback for government as the High Court stops implementation of the new social health insurance scheme.
Hiyo ushuru ambayo wanaongeza siku na mchana ni inaumiza wananchi, inaumiza mama mboga, inaumiza jua kali.
Stop overburdening Kenyans. Raila tells Kenya Kwanza to slow down on new taxes. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Yula Nzale. So tonight, the government has suffered a setback in its health case plan after the High Court suspended the implementation of the Social Health Insurance Scheme. So the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union, KMPDU, has obtained orders suspending 3 laws key to the scheme until February 7th, 2024. And as Mary Mwoki now reports, the setback came even as Health CS Susan Nakumicha held a meeting with the NHIF employees to discuss the transition to the new Social Health Authority.
Madam CS, during the meeting last week.
Barely a week after the Health Cabinet Secretary Susan Nakumicha issued a Gazette notice operationalizing the Social Health Insurance Fund, the High Court has slammed the brakes on the implementation and enforcing of the Social Health Insurance Fund Act 2023, the Primary Healthcare Act 2023, and the Digital Health Act 2023 until a case challenging its legality is heard. The Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union, KMPDU, made good its threat to challenge the implementation of the Social Health Insurance Scheme. The Doctors Union obtained court orders stopping the government from the planned rollout of the universal health coverage envisioned in the laws, whose rollout President William Ruto had announced will be in January 2024. KMPDU has argued that the government has gone ahead with the implementation of the Social Health Insurance Act without engaging stakeholders to resolve their contentious issues. The Doctors Union took issue with Section 26, subsection 5 of the SHIF Act that provides that any person who is registerable as a member in this Act shall produce proof of compliance with the provisions of this Act on registration and contribution as a precondition of accessing public health services from the national government, county government, or national and county government entities, saying it will disenfranchise Kenyan citizens from accessing government services.
I think I'm very happy that
This development coming hours after the Health CS met the staff of the National Health Insurance Fund to discuss the transition into the new scheme, assuring them that the transition, which will lead to job losses, will be done in a dignified manner.
We are starting off afresh its social health authority. I know at a personal level that I'm very good at what they do. And therefore they will meet whatever test it is to move over into SHA. The Act also has prescribed that should it be that you do not meet the qualifications on the other side of SHA, you have the option of early retirement. I am yet to see a reason of anyone to lose hope. And for those who may want even to move earlier, the option is available. What I would like to be clear about is that is the option that if you take, then I assure you that your current salary is guaranteed. For those who shall be moving to SHA, will move to the terms of SHA, and they may not be the same as the terms of NHIF.
The Health CS want NHIF staff against attempts to sabotage the transition to the Social Health Authority. Mary Mwoki, Citizen TV.
And now to the flood crisis. In only 9 counties across the country are yet to be affected by the ongoing El Nino rains, as the government now places 38 counties in the alarm stage in the disaster management plan. The cabinet meeting today has outlined a raft of measures aimed at addressing the impact of the floods and approved the release of a total of 27 billion shillings to assist counties handle the rapidly changing El Nino situation across the country. Brenda Wanga has more.
Nearly 2 months after the onset of the short rain season, and the cabinet is finally taking action to address the devastation caused by the rains.
For bringing us to this cabinet, we ask that you...
The rains that have adversely affected parts of the country, initially the north and coastal regions, have now spread beyond these regions to affect nearly the entire country, with only 9 counties still in the safety zone.
The 38 out of our nation's 47 counties are within the alarm stage, a stage characterized by flash floods, general flooding in low-lying plains, rivers busting their banks, landslides and mudslides, loss of livestock and destruction of farmland and infrastructure.
The counties stretch all the way from the northern and coastal counties of Mandera, Wajir, Garissa, Kilifi, Mombasa, Taita Taveta, Tana River, Kwale and Lamu, to the central and eastern counties of Murang'a, Nyeri, Kiambu, Kirinyaga, Isiolo, Kitui, Machakos, Makueni, Marsabit, Meru and Tharaka Nithi.
There's a National Disaster Operations Center that is up and running. It will be based in Nyaya House under the Ministry of Interior. They are assessing by the minute data from the ground and whether there is need to escalate this beyond where it is right now.
All the 4 counties of the former Nyanza province, Bungoma, Busia and Kakamega in western, 10 counties in the Rift Valley and Nairobi counties are also among those that are in the alarm stage. The government, in its response plans, has released 7 billion shillings from the contingency fund to address the crisis arising from the floods, while a further 20 billion is set to be sent to the counties by the end of this week as part of counties' shareable revenue.
So we are working together with counties, and this is part of their shareable revenue. But we are encouraging, the government is encouraging counties to try and set aside some money, to reallocate some money to the alleviating the problem, the current problem.
In the same breath, the cabinet has approved the use of military and civilian aircraft to aid in distribution of medical supplies, food and non-food supplies to over 50,000 households affected, especially in the northern parts of the country. The national government also says it is working through the Ministries of Transport and Energy to fix destroyed roads and help manage costs of energy by enhancing the production of hydropower.
We also have to agree that the rains in some parts of the country are beneficial. We're talking about a milk glut and that farmers now, KCSE has been given 500 million shillings so that they can take this milk from farmers. That is something positive. You're talking about hydro-generated power, and tariffs now will be lowered for the consumer. That is something positive. So it has a positive and negative side.
The government is now focusing its efforts in alleviating the humanitarian crisis that is already being witnessed in areas where the floods have had hit. At the same time, the government is warning those who are staying in areas where they are likely to be affected by floods and landslides and mudslides to also move to higher and safer ground. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV at State House, Nairobi.
And as the government outlined its raft of measures to address the devastating effects of floods in the country, thousands of those affected in Garissa and Tana River counties are now grappling with increased food prices as the area remains inaccessible after a section of the road was swept away. Many gas stations have run out of fuel. Vegetable vendors have been forced to hike the prices of their commodities as hiring boats remain the only mode of transport.
A song of praise for a mother after she was rescued together with her husband and child by Kenya Red Cross officials. The journey to the shores is a sweet dream. For days they lived with fear of being swept away with no help in sight. At Raya Farm, about 15 minutes from Garissa town.
Tumekaa hapa siku tatu, hata hakuna kukula, tunapanda kwa miti, mahali unaenda maembe ni mbali. Sasa tunangangana mpaka vile tumepona na wanakuja kuchukua saa hii.
Tulikuwa tuna shida tu, tulikuwa tumejisanyia pamoja tu watu 30. Na watoto wote walikuwa hapo hivyo. Yaani tulikuwa na shida kabisa.
Kula ni shida tu. Wazee wanavuka wanaenda ng'ambo. Wakirudi mtu anarudi na nusu kilo. Sasa hii haiwezi tosha familia. Kukula yani unakula unabakisha nusu ya kesho.
Their joy of being rescued from their marooned homes could be short-lived as another crisis is looming. Destruction of roads in the area which has affected the transportation of food items to Garissa and Madogo towns has seen the rise in the cost of basic food items. Residents of Madogo saying they are forced to part with at least 50 or 100 shillings more to purchase items from shops in the area.
Chakula imepanda na watu wanavuka pande ya Garissa kutafuta ama kuangalia biashara zao zenye waliwacha tangu mafuriko ilipoanza na wameshindwa jinsi ya kuvuka. Wengine wanajaribu waogelee na ile flow ya maji iko juu sana. Ukienda kununua chakula, robo sukari ilikuwa 50, sasa inauzwa 150. Ugali ilikuwa 90, sasa inauzwa 200. Na hiyo pia hakuna, anakuambia nunua ukishindwa uende.
Sasa mimi haina kazi hapa Mandogo. Tutafanya nini sisi? Mafuta tunapika na hata ile ya kupaka.
Another concern is the only means of transportation from Madogo to Garissa, where residents have to pay 1,500 shillings to cover a distance of less than 6 kilometers.
Kuna boti jana ilikuja na sisi tukadhani kuwa inatusaidia ama inasaidia wenye wako ndani ya maji. So baadaye ndo tukakuta hiyo boat, saa hii imekuwa ni business. Na jana each ilikuwa ni 500, leo ikapanda each ni 1,500. Sasa kama wewe huna pesa, utafikaje Garissa?
On their part, traders say they have been forced to increase the price of commodities due to the challenges of transporting the goods.
Boga mnaona hapa nyuma yangu ni 20 hivi, lakini ndio ifike hapa imekula gharama ya zaidi ya 50,000. Hii boga tu kidogo iko hapa. Kutoka Tula barabara imeharibika, inafikishwa kwa gari, watu wanalipo wanabeba kwa mabenga, unapata boga yenye umenunua 1,000 ndio upate ianze kutumika, unalipa zaidi ya 5,000.
This petrol station, which serves Madogo residents, has been closed after it ran out of fuel on Sunday. The same situation is replicated in Garissa town, where Governor Nathif Jama and County Commissioner Solomon Chesut have warned traders against taking advantage of the victims of floods.
Any trader, whether big or small, who is seen to be engaging in such a practice, we are going to cancel their license. We will go after them one by one, and we are going to cancel their licenses so that they do not do any business in Garissa County.
The Kenya National Highways Authority on Sunday advised motorists to avoid the road and said that restoration will start as soon as the water levels subside.
And still on floods, and nearly 350 families from Homa Bay and Kisumu counties have been rendered homeless following floods that continue to ravage parts of the country. River Lambwe in Homa Bay County broke its banks on Sunday night, sweeping away 20 acres of crop and submerging 200 houses. In Kisumu, about 50 houses were flooded due to poor drainage at Kapuete village in Kisumu Central. And as Loro Tino now reports, various leaders have joined in the appeal to non-state actors to boost government efforts in offering aid to victims of floods.
The water levels at Kapuete village in Kisumu Central constituency have reached an alarming level. Residents dangerously wading through the waters to check on their belongings that are currently marooned. For nearly 2 weeks, the water has been rising due to the lack of a proper drainage system to discharge the rainwaters. As a result, about 50 houses have been submerged.
Sasa tuna chochote, net, kila kitu. Kuna watoto na wanaume hapa. Sasa tunaomba serikali tafadhali atusaidie, atuonekane kama watu kweli.
Atusaidie kutengeneza hii mto kubwa kwenda barini kubwa. Ili hata sisi naye tukuwe na mfumsiko, kuacha kulilia serikali kila saa.
At Nyasanja village in Homa Bay County, 200 families spent the night in the cold after River Lambwe broke its banks on Sunday night. Property of unknown value was also destroyed as an estimated 20 acres of land and a crop was submerged.
Tumepata mafuriko, imeingia kwa manyumba ya watu, imevamia watu, makuki imeenda, mahindi imeenda, kila kitu imeenda. Kwa hivyo watu wanahangaika hapa Lambwe. Kwa hivyo tunaomba usaidizi kutoka kwa serikali kuu ama county government ili atuje atusaidie.
While acknowledging the support given to victims of flooding, Homa Bay County Governor Gladys Wanga called for more concerted efforts in order to adequately respond to the escalating crisis caused by the floods.
These counties cannot carry this response alone. We are doing our best, but our resources are pretty limited. So we are asking for the national government support, development partners support, and when we ask for national government support, we are not saying that we are doing nothing.
According to the Kenya Red Cross, another 100 families from Bala village were rendered homeless due to floods wreaking havoc in Homa Bay County. Laura Otieno, Citizen TV.
Still with the floods, some 122 residents around Karimenu Dam 2 will be compensated to the tune of 150 million shillings for losses suffered as a result of the overflow of water from the dam. Water Cabinet Secretary Zekari Njeru says that the locals, whose properties included land and homes, are on the verge of being submerged by the already full mega dam and will be compensated and relocated. The process of compensating and moving the locals from Iruri, Kiriko, Galanji and Kanyoni village to safer areas has been initiated by the government. CS Njeru said that the evaluation process will also be fast-tracked.
We are in total engagement with them using our provincial administration. We are talking and we are sure we are going to come to an agreement because we wouldn't want any incidents that would cause harm to them.
And away from that, Azimio leader Raila Odinga has slammed the Kenya Kwanza administration for overtaxing Kenyans who are already overburdened due to the high cost of living. Odinga, who was speaking in Nyamira County, where he launched an ODM registration drive, accused the Ruto administration of failure and going against their campaign promises. Martin Munene has the details.
Opposition Chief Raila Odinga was in Nyamira on Monday, where he launched an ODM grassroots registration exercise. It is here that Raila called out the Kenya Kwanza government over its heavy taxation policies, which according to Odinga are hurting Kenyans. He also alleged that the taxes levied are not being put to good use.
Hiyo ushuru ambayo wanaongeza siku na mchana ni inaumiza wananchi, inaumiza mama mboga, inaumiza jua kali, boda boda, hao yote wanapata shida, sivyo? Ushuru wanazidisha na hiyo ushuru vile vile haifanyi chochote.
Hii serikali hata wale ndugu zetu wa Rift Valley wanalia. Ukienda Eldoret watu wanalia. Hapa Bometi wanalia. Ukienda Mount Kenya wanalia. sembuse sisi ambao tunaambiwa hatuna shares Kenya hii.
According to Odinga, the Ruto administration has failed in governance and has fallen short of the promises it made to Kenyans on the campaign trail.
Wanakwenda kukopa pesa ya kulipa deni. Tuko na deni, anakwenda kuchukua deni nyingine ili alipe ile deni mkongwe. Hiyo inakaza kazi bure kabisa. Wewe huko ndani ya shimo unazidi kushimba. Huko kule ndani ya shimo unashimba kaburi yako. Sio? Hao watu wameshindwa kazi.
Akina mama hapa ambao walikuwa wanaambiwa kwamba hao ndio watafaidika kwa hii serikali ndio wameteswa kuliko mtu yoyote. Vijana wetu hapa ambao waliambiwa kwamba bodaboda watakuja kufaidika ndio wameteswa kwa hii serikali kuliko mtu yoyote.
Wewe rais, kazi imekushinda. Na kwa sababu kazi imekushinda, wachia wale ambao wanajua kufanya kazi wafanye hiyo kazi. Si ndio? Kwa sababu kazi imekushinda, wachia baba afanye kazi.
Raila was incensed by the latest move to charge Kenyans to acquire identification cards.
Kitambulisho ni haki ya kila Mkenya. Maana hiyo ndio thibitisho kwamba wewe ni Mkenya. Haitakikani tena ulipishwe pesa. Tunataka this ID card should be given free. And we demand that the ID card should be given free.
Martin Munene, Citizen TV.
Away from that, at least 2 cases have been filed against the Kenya National Examination Council over claims of mismanaging the recently released KCPE examination results. The petitioners want NEC and the Education Ministry stopped from embarking on Form 1 selection until the cases are heard and determined. The petitions were filed even as the Form 1 selection process started today amid silence from the Education Ministry's top brass.
Handing over to the PS for placement.
4 days after the Ministry of Education released results of this year's KCPE exam, the Kenya National Examination Council continues to face allegations of glaring irregularities and errors in the grading of some candidates.
We were very much disappointed to what we saw because it was not what we had expected to get, each and every one of us. Every single student out here who had their results messed up is at the moment depressed, they're devastated, they don't know what to do.
I would like to ask the government, are you taxing our marks or what? Because if the ballot papers can be recounted, why not our marks? I repeat, if the ballot papers can be counted, why not our marks? Cabinet Secretary of Education, Professor Machogu, I would ask you to please remark our papers.
In one of the petitions filed today, Pius Keo, a pupil at the Kitengela International School, through his parent Teddy Mutiso, found fault in the examination results that were released on the 23rd of November, saying they had massive irregularities and questioning the integrity of the marking process. He has argued that the Kitengela International School had a good academic record and has posted exemplary results in previous years, adding that the 2023 results did not fall within the usual range of the school's performance in the last 3 years.
We don't want favors. We want justice for our children, the true mark, the true reflection of the abilities of our children. It's so hurting when the mother sits and looks at her child not eat, waking up every morning, crying because she was not given justice. It's so painful. We just want justice.
We have a lot of evidence which our lawyer will be able to probably share. The mutilation and the adulteration of the KCPE exam results for our pupils and the kids of this country is very worrying.
According to the petitioner, the 90-day review period given by NEC will be inconsequential if the Form 1 selection process that kicked off on Monday is let to continue.
Kenya National Examination Council, by law, has 90 days to make a decision. So, if the review was done on Friday, the application for appeal, the Examination Council will release the decision around March. Selection started today. these kids will not be among the students who are being considered to be placed on national schools, on schools of their choice.
A parent of a candidate from the Green Hill Primary School in KCSE County has also filed a petition demanding a remark. Evelyn Kemuya Omoyo, through her guardian Joshua Nyansera, expressed dissatisfaction at what they termed as rushed marking of examination papers, which she says has affected the mental health of the pupil. The lawyer for the petitioners, Dunstan Omari, wants the matters certified as urgent.
An attack on vulnerable children who are defenseless, who cannot raise a voice, then that country has lost its moral compass.
A third matter has been filed by a Nakuru-based Dr. Magare Gikenyi Benjamin, who has argued that the errors in results were not one-offs but systematic and that they affect every candidate who sat the exam. Lillian Muli, Citizen TV.
So here's a conversation we're about to have. A day after President William Ruto gave the National Dialogue Committee report his nod, and with the opposition split over the outcome, experts who were instrumental in the constitution-making process now say a referendum will be necessary to implement some of the recommendations. As Ayub Abdikadir reports, Senior Counsel Abdikadir Mohammed and constitutional lawyer Bobby Mukangi say that the issue of cost of living was not given adequate attention by the committee.
With the high cost of living agenda is still unresolved, and the report presented to both President William Ruto and Azimio leader Raila Odinga, experts hold that the committee disregarded pressing public issues and delved into solving political issues.
I thought that the politicians, as has been before, they were going to use the voice of the people to create an excuse to sit and talk, and then when they talk about their own things, but they leave Mwananchi, and that is what we are seeing right now.
And what these good gentlemen and ladies are proposing are really, they are answering questions that are not being asked. They are setting their own exam. They are interested in providing offices and funds for the political class. That's not what Kenyans are asking for.
Among the areas the parties agreed on include the creation of Office of Leader of Opposition with 2 deputies, entrenching the Prime Cabinet Secretary's position in the Constitution, the Senate Oversight Fund, Ward Development Fund, and the National Government Constituency Development Fund. Both Mkangi and Abdikadir, who were instrumental in the constitution-making process, say the proposals will alter the structure of governance at the moment and will need the consent from the people.
If the proposals are going to be engineered and processed into furtherance, the ultimate decider must be the Kenyan citizen, the Kenyan voter, who must make the decision at the ballot box.
It's not workable unless you change the infrastructure, the architecture of our constitution. Having a prime minister and an office of the leader of opposition makes no sense. And they are going to create instability, which is not what we're asking for right now. We have a stable constitution. We have an economic crisis. Let us deal with the economic crisis.
The committee's report has led to split in the opposition Azimio camp, while the government expressed support, calling for its urgent implementation. Azimio leader Raila Odinga has promised to issue a statement on the recommendations on Thursday. Creation of political offices in the current dispensation, according to drafters of the Constitution, risks a dilution of Kenya's current governance structure, with critics calling out the committee for over-focusing on constitutional matters than economic challenges facing the taxpayer, signaling yet again how Kenya's political class may end up feeding from the same trough. Ayub Abdikadir, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
And on that note, Eric Deuri is here with me, LSK President, Nerima Wako, Executive Director, Siasa Place, and Dr. Duncan Ojwang, Law Lecturer. Thank you all for making time. Eric, I'll start with you. Are you satisfied with the outcome of the report? Really briefly before you take a break.
No, it's extremely underwhelming.
Okay. Why?
I think it just failed to focus on the real reason why the dialogues were being held.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nerima, are you satisfied?
No, expected to see much more on the economy, on raising and creating opportunities, specifically for young people that doesn't involve shipping them out of the country. So not really satisfied, no. Okay. But politically, I'm sure they are very satisfied.
Okay. Dr. Ojwa?
Good evening. I think the report is out. There will be opinions, but I think in terms of delivery, there is a report. The dialogue has worked and completed its report together. So there could be different reactions, but ultimately, my view is usually I'll rather people get heart attack negotiating on the table than young people fighting in the streets in terms of demonstration and the police and all that. So it's very successful from my view.
Okay. And on that note, then we take a quick break here on the Monday Report. When we come back, we'll delve into that conversation plus a few other conversations. We'd like to hear from you. Are you satisfied by the outcome of the National Dialogue Committee report? At Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya, use the hashtag Monday Report or text us on 22422. We'll sample some of your views in just a bit. Dialogue at crossroads. Opinions split over the National Dialogue Report. Well, thanks for staying with the Monday Report. Before we get into the National Dialogue conversation, 62% of Kenyans believe that corruption and misuse of funds are the biggest challenges facing devolution 10 years after the county governments came into force. Now, in a report released by Twaweza East Africa, 47% of Kenyans are uncertain about the impact of devolution, despite the national government having injected 3.6 trillion shillings to the devolved units in the last 10 years. The research, which involved 3,746 respondents nationally, also revealed that 52% of Kenyans feel that lack of sufficient funds continues to hamper service delivery at the county level. However, 75% of Kenyans believe devolution has led to improvement in public services such as health, water and infrastructure. According to the report, 39% of Kenyans prefer health services to be under the national government compared to 30% who are satisfied with health services at the county level. 74% of Kenyans at the county level and 78% of Kenyans at the national level feel that leaders do not take into account citizens' opinion when making decisions on important issues. Among those who feel the impact of devolution, residents of Makueni and Elgeyo Marakwet counties top the list with an approval rate of 65% and 61% respectively.
Whether my proposal or my views are taken. Majority think there's no impact. What does it tell us? That yes, it's like making two strides ahead and then making 3 strides behind. And basically that's what's happening. When you look at different sectors and all that, wananchi think the two government systems need to work hand in hand so that devolution can become a success story.
One of the things which is glaring to me in this report is when we find the supporters of devolution are really the older people, the men. Then you ask yourself, where are the young people?
Devolution means let the people exercise the power. Let the funds which are available be utilized by the people. Let the people make decisions. And that is why, therefore, we have no problem having another government, a people's government, from the village upwards.
Tourism CS Alfred Mutua has condemned the attack by armed goons on Pinewood Resort and Spa in Diani. In a post on his X account, Mutua called for civility and application of the law so as not to deter tourists. Even though the CS says that stern action is being taken, 13 people arrested in relation to the attack are yet to be presented in court. The Kenya Coast Tourist Association has also termed the attack on hotel staff and tourists as unacceptable. Goons armed with crude weapons, including clubs and stones, were caught on CCTV on November 17th, attacking staff and tourists at the hotel, which is at the center of a takeover bid that is currently before court. Meanwhile, tens of traders at Ikonge Market in Nyamira are counting losses following Sunday night inferno which razed their property. The traders now calling on government to cushion them after the fire incident. And as Crispin Otieno now reports, police have launched investigation to ascertain the cause of the fire.
This was the situation at Ikonge Market on Monday morning as traders began counting losses. Many of these traders had closed their businesses on Sunday evening to resume on Monday. A fire whose cause has not been established consumed several stalls, a state of hopelessness evident on their faces, a double for those who not only lost property but were also servicing loans.
Nimeweka vitu mingi karibu 1500, hata ingawaje inaonekana duka ndogo lakini iko na pesa mingi ndani. Hasa kitu tunaomba serikali wanisaidie. Saizi niko na watoto 3 wanaenda shule.
Mimi sina njia nyingine kwa maana ni loan nilikuwa nachukua. Sina samba, sina kazi, sina chochote. Kitu niko naye ni watu wetu wale tulichagua.
Some residents scoffed at the Nyamira County Disaster Management for a slow response when the fire broke out.
Hii mambo ya fire engines ni kitu ambayo inaweza yako kwa kila sub county. Kama hapa Ekerenyo just like 5 kilometers away tuko na a sub county headquarter.
We have to pull up our socks. Governor, this one it is below the bar. Ilichukua karibu masaa mawili gari kutoka Nyamira kufika hapa. Umbali wa kilomita 11 peke yake.
According to Nyamira police, the fire incident is under investigations, but also called out locals who stoned the fire engine for arriving late.
Hatujajua chanzo ya moto ilikuwa nini, but we are doing investigations. Tunajaribu kufanya uchunguzi tujue ni nini ilisababisha huo moto. Lakini haistahili wafanye chinzi walifanya kwa sababu walianza kutupia gari la zimamoto mawe na hata wakaharibu hiyo gari.
Crispin Otieno for Citizen TV.
National Treasury proposes 11 parastatals for privatization, with members of the public given up to 11th of December to give their view. Time now for some business news, and the government has finally unveiled a list of 11 parastatals earmarked for privatization. Some of the notable firms in the list include KCSE, New KCC, and Kenya Pipeline. Dennis Otieno has more.
In a dispatch, the following entities are up for sale: New Kenya Cooperative Creameries, Kenya Literature Bureau, National Oil Corporation of Kenya, Kenya Seed Company Limited, Kenyatta International Convention Center KICC, Moya Rice Mills Limited, Western Kenya Rice Mills Limited, Kenya Pipeline Company Limited, Numerical Machining Complex Limited, Vehicle Manufacturers Limited, and Rivertex East Africa Limited. The government has given a number of reasons justifying the sale of each of the entities listed in the plan. KICC, a landmark in the capital Nairobi by all means, Kenya Literature Bureau, Kenya Seed Company, and Kenya Pipeline Company have been slated for sale as part of measures by the state to generate additional revenues and reduce exchequer support. The National Oil Corporation, which was recently split into 3 units to turn around its fortunes, has been identified for its potential to attract private sector capital investments and expertise. New KCC, which is playing its role as an off-taker of raw milk from farmers, and apparel maker Rivertex were in the list to attract fresh capital that will enable them modernize their factories across the country. Interesting to note, some entities were identified as mature and necessitated a sale. They included Moya Rice Mills Limited, Vehicle Manufacturers Limited, and Western Kenya Rice Mills Limited. In keeping with the requirements of the Constitution of Kenya, the National Treasury has invited views from the public on this privatization program by the 11th of December this year. Dennis Otieno, Citizen TV.
I&M Group has recorded an after-tax profit of 8.2 billion shillings for the first 9 months of 2023. The performance represents a 14% increase when compared to 7.2 billion shillings posted in the same quarter in 2022. Now, the lender attributes the growth to improved performance in both corporate and retail segments, which were part of its revenue diversification strategy. I&M's operating income during the period grew 19% to reach 29.9 billion shillings, with regional businesses accounting for 29% of this. Growth in expenses and provisions during the period, however, so the lender realized an increase of 29% year-on-year to close at 14.6 billion shillings. This is partly driven by continued investment in technology and people. Nearly 18,000 people were placed on local jobs between July 2022 to June this year. This is according to the Labour Principal Secretary Shadrach Mwadime, who says the jobs facilitated through the National Employment Authority were strategically spread across counties, reflecting a concerted effort to address regional employment needs. Mwadime called for more collaboration between the government and private sector in adopting solutions to unemployment in the country. He spoke during the release of a report on registration of private employment agencies and protection of migrant workers in the country.
Counseling psychologist. She's also an association. Karibu Dilani.
Money restoring hope in the service industry, starting with our dear.
So if we are talking of domestic workers, highly skilled domestic workers, you know, people with soft skills, because that is what has been missing in our economy. We have people with those skills, hard skills, but when it comes to social intelligence, sometimes that has been wanting a bit.
We talk about the meaningful work. It's work that is what I trained for, so I love doing it, and also it's a work that will pay what I'm worth. And so that's definitely the definition of the meaningful work, because as you onboard yourself, you charge what you believe you are worth, and you're paid that amount.
ITEL Kenya has rebranded in the Kenyan markets as it continues to unveil an array of smartphones to be assessed by all segments of the population. Now, the firm, which has operated in the country for more than a decade, has revamped its brand presence as it commits to cater to the technological needs of undeserved markets and enhance the quality of life for consumers in the country. From the ITEL A series, the firm has now launched the A70 series, that is a 4G enabled for the mass market.
We have to convey our new visions to the new customers. So that's why now we are bringing our new logo. Because we already changed our brand strategy, we also, our target audience has been expanded like never before.
Today marks the beginning of a journey where our collective efforts will shape the future. So thank you all for being an integral part of a dynamic journey.
So the dairy industry is one of the key contributors to Kenya's food security. More Kenyans are now embracing dairy farming, leveraging modern technology to maximize production and increase profits. To actualize this, more ventures are now targeting this sector by offering technological services. One such venture is DigiCow, a local innovation helping dairy farmers store and access crucial data and information on their animals with the aim of increasing milk production and improving animal welfare. Edward Chwea tells us more on our Made in Kenya segment.
Made in Kenya, brought to you by Equity. Insufficient funds when buying stock for your business? Endeleza biashara by accepting the top-up prompt to complete your payment when using *247# Equitel or Equity mobile app. No need to worry when you run low on cash when making payment for your business.
A Kenyan innovator enthusiastic about dairy farming was disturbed by losses incurred by farmers due to lack of enough information and being stuck in the traditional methods of dairy farming. This inspired him to come up with a platform to collect and store data for the farmers.
DigiCow was started in 2016. We wanted to support small-scale farmers. It's an app that has training room that can be able to, farmers can be able to access information from. They can be able to keep their dairy production. Farmers can be able to track their productivity in their herds.
Farmers interested in keeping their dairy records sign up for free on DigiCow and key in their records ranging from milk production per cow to their health status.
All you need is a smartphone. For farmers that don't have smartphones, we've introduced or come up with something called group training app, where farmers can be able to access this information in a group setup. Currently, we're working in 22 counties. We've offered employment to youth around the country to support these farmers. So what they do, they get the app on their phones. and having a Bluetooth enabled speaker, they can be able to train these farmers.
Kimani says so far thousands of farmers have embraced DigiCow, and the numbers keep growing every day after realizing significant progress in their dairy production.
Currently, we have a database of over 200,000 farmers, and actually the data is piling because we normally train farmers every single day. DigiCow is also not only for profit, but it's a social impact company.
84-year-old Josephat Muia, a dairy farmer in Kiambu, says he has been rearing cows for 40 years, but since he enrolled on DigiCow, milk production has improved.
Tulipatiwa presentation ya DigiCow, nikawa mimi inanipendeza, nikajaribu na imenisaidia sana, inanipatia timely information. Kwa kila ng'ombe kipata joto ndio napiga report huko. Wanaanza wanaitumia daktari wa AI. Wamenifaidia sana kwa hiyo information. Kwa maana hata nikiwa nilisahau, wananikumbusha kwa simu. Message inaingia mara moja. Na mimi nakumbuka na washukuru sana.
In the DigiCow app, there's a training room where farmers can be able to access information. We custom make these trainings to suit the counties that we are targeting. For example, if it's trainings in Kajiado, we normally produce the audios in Maasai language.
In addition, DigiCow has come up with Ndume, a mean application targeting veterinary officers. Here, the vets keep records of all the animals they attend to and help farmers keep track of their progress. Samuel Wanyenji is one of the vets using Ndume.
I use the app daily to record my day in, day out activities. Example, breeding records, that is AI records, health records. I have seen so many benefits after using the app. One is a timely reminder to my farmers about activities to be done to their cows. I would recommend my fellow vets and farmers to embrace technology. A good example of technology in farming is Ndume app.
DigiCow has partnered with organizations such as Carro to help farmers get more access to information and services, even as it seeks to reach more farmers in all the 47 counties in Kenya.
DigiCow will be a trusted source of animal health data. What we are working on is having a platform that is data-driven. We are working to become a trusted company with any livestock data.
Edward Chwea, Made in Kenya, Citizen TV.
Made in Kenya, brought to you by Equity. No need to worry when you run low on cash when making payment for your business. Endeleza biashara by accepting the top-up prompt to complete your payment when using *247# Equitel or Equity mobile app. Complete your business transactions bila worries with Equity.